Hey everyone, today is not going to be one of my classic episodes. It's not going to be about longevity, it's going to be a bit more personal. I'm going to tell you about something I experienced, something I did about a month ago now. I went to a so called Vipassana retreat. This Vipassana retreat means that I meditated in 10 days, in total 100 hours. So 10 hours every day. I sat in a meditation hall. Actually, not all the time in the meditation hall. Sometimes you were also allowed to meditate in your room. But most of the time, I sat in the meditation hall and I just meditated. Eyes closed, body scans. I'm going to explain a bit more in detail what this meditation technique was. And yeah, in this podcast, I'm just going to tell you about what I did there, my experience, like what I experienced from 100 hours of meditation in 10 days. And yeah, also just if I recommend it to other people to do it. And yeah, we can just start. So how I heard about this Vipassana is that I was actually listening to one of my old favorite podcasters, a German podcaster, and he was talking about that he went to one of those Vipassana retreats and he did a very strict one taught by a guy called Gwenka. And he was like, well, those Vipassana retreats, those are the most strict ones. When you go there, you have to meditate. Like there's like 10 hours every day and they kick you out if you don't do it. And it was already like, when I heard this, I was like, well, that sounds very interesting. like, like super strict routine. Like you are not allowed to do anything. Like you have to give away your phone. You're not, actually, yeah, for 10 days I was also not allowed to talk to anyone. I had to give away my phone when I arrived there. Like, essentially I did nothing but meditate, eat and sleep. Like, really nothing else. Okay, I did go for walks in the time between, but even on those walks I was like staring on the ground because I was not allowed to look at anyone in the face or anyone in the eyes. So, yeah, I was really, like, this experience was so different from everything that we usually have in our everyday life. So I heard this from this podcaster that he was talking about this, and I was like, well, that sounds interesting, but I don't have, like, I'm a student. I'm just starting out with everything. Yeah, as you may know, I'm now working on longevity and I don't have a lot of money. So I was like, well, I probably can't afford like to go to a retreat like this. But then in his podcast, he was like, well, and actually it's completely for free. It's just based on donations. So like when you're done, you are allowed to donate. So everybody that finishes one of those courses is allowed to donate. And you don't have to. And you only have to donate as much as you want to. It's not like that you have to pay like €1,000 to go there. Or more than €1,000. Like, I don't know. Like, I wouldn't have done it if it would have cost €1,000. Also because I didn't know how was it going to be. So, like, with all this insecurity, like the fact that it's for free was for me like, well, like it's a no-brainer. I will just sign up and see what's going to happen. So yeah, I signed up, and the first time I actually signed up was already this year in like, I don't know, January or February. I made a video about it, but I didn't. I was too late, so they didn't accept me. The course was already fully booked, so I tried again, and now in this summer I actually got a spot. So when I knew I had a spot, it was already like, I think still I had like 2 months left till it starts, and I watched some videos about like, okay, what to do before a Vipassana retreat, like 10 days meditating, it's going to be super hard. And all the people were like, oh, it's so hard. And like, you have to prepare yourself, you have to meditate before to like get used to it. And especially also the sitting. Like if you sit on the floor for 10 hours every day, like it's going to hurt so much that you should do like some stretching before and everything. And yeah, I was like, well, okay, so I need to prepare, I need to do a lot of meditation before, like maybe 1 hour meditation a day or something, so I get a little bit used to it. I have to do like my proper stretching routine and everything. But in the weeks and in the month before the Vipassana retreat, like there was so much happening in my life, like that I didn't manage to do that. Like I was essentially working nearly like 10, 11 hours a day, and then I also had like some things in my personal life, so I didn't manage to do any of this meditation. So in total, like before I went to this meditation retreat, like I meditated once for 20 minutes, and that was all. So I was like, well, now I meditated once for 20 minutes. I think I'm going to be ready to meditate 10 hours every day for the next 10 days. I didn't feel ready, but I was like, well, it's all I got. So let's go. Let's see how it is. And if it's so bad, I can still leave. Like, that was always my thought. Like, I don't have to be super afraid. I can just leave if it's super bad. So I went there. And it was interesting. I went to a Vipassana retreat in Belgium, which is not so far from where I live in the Netherlands. And when I arrived there, it was very far, like very remote from all like big cities, so it was also hard to get there. But being there, like you're in this forest, like between some like fields with some crops, and you arrive there and you go onto this campus, and there are like a lot of people standing there, all like with linen clothes and barefoot shoes. Everyone, like me included, but all those people like stereotypic. And then you go into this room where they take your name, and then they're like, well, can you give us your phone? That's a bit weird, because you're like, like if I scream here, nobody will hear. It's like the beginning of a horror movie. Like, you get to those weird people that you don't know, that give you this place for free, that tell you that they're gonna give you food for free for the next 10 days, that is like all look a bit weird, it's a bit cultish, and then they ask you to give away your phone in a very remote location. And I wanted to send my mom like my location, but actually also there I didn't have any reception. I didn't have any phone reception, so I couldn't even do that. So yeah, I really was a bit skeptical. The good thing is I have two phones. I can't show them now because I don't know where my second one is, but I have two phones because the second one I use to record, when I record podcasts with two people, I have my professional camera and my, like, it's a pretty good phone with a pretty good camera, so I have two cameras. So I had also two phones with me, and I gave them the phone without a SIM card, just to make sure, because I don't know, it was a weird situation and I wanted to be sure. So I gave them this phone, and the other one I hid somewhere. I turned it on like airplane mode and everything, and actually I didn't touch it for the whole 10 days, but like I have to admit that I did this because I don't know, I was it felt weird. Like it literally felt like you're walking into a horror movie. Not that I like watching horror movies, but like, I don't know, it kind of felt like this. So after giving away your phone, like, you're allowed to bring your stuff to your rooms, and I went to the rooms, and that was really surprising. Like, those are new, super well cleaned huts. Like, especially for the boys. I don't know how it was for the girls, but I slept with two other boys in one room, and it was super clean, like very new, very minimalist, so all made from wood, and yeah, just a super nice room. I put my stuff there, and then it's already started like first meal, and I was very surprised again because the food was so good. Like, first meal, like, I was blown away. Like, well, if that's the food I'm gonna get for the next 10 days, it was already worth it. Like, no matter what they asked me to do. Yeah. After this meal, the noble silence started, and that is when the actual course started. So this course, it has 5 rules. So one of the rules is the so-called noble silence. That means that you're not allowed to communicate with anyone, and not allowed to communicate does not only include talking. Communication in that case includes any type of communication. So you're not even allowed to like point somewhere. You're not allowed to like do like like some, like, you're not allowed to have eye contact. Like, best is you don't even look anybody in the eye. The guy that explained the rules was like just try to act like you're the only person here. Just ignore the other people. Like, you're here, act like you're on your own. Like, don't talk to anyone. The only persons people you're allowed to talk to is one, the the teacher and the manager. Also, always only in the same of the same sex. So the male teacher and the male manager, you're allowed to talk to those. The teacher in case you have questions about the technique that they teach you, so in the meditation, and the manager in case you have like some other issues. Like for example, if you have a tic or something, you can go to him, you can ask him. But the rule is never talk to any other participants, any other meditators. So this is the first rule. The second rule is to not kill any being. So the food was all vegetarian, and you're not even allowed to kill like any bugs. So in every room they had like those cups and like sheets of paper. So when you see a bug, you could just like trap it in the cup, put the sheet of paper under the cup, and throw it outside. So that's rule number 2. Rule number 3 is that you're not allowed to lie. That's actually why they also have this noble silence. So the teacher Gwenka, I will talk about his teachings later, but like he also explained that this makes it way easier. Like if you don't talk, you can't lie. So if you're not allowed to talk, it's not so hard not to lie. Rule number 3, that you shouldn't do sexual misconduct. So like masturbation, anything is not allowed. So actually I just looked up the rules, and it's not like noble silence is not a rule, like not lying is a rule, and therefore you hold the noble silence and don't talk. But yeah, rule number 1, abstain from killing any being. Number 2, abstain from stealing. Number 3, abstain from all sexual activity. Number 4, abstain from telling lies. Number 5, abstain from all intoxicants. So those were the rules that they told us on day number 1. And after the dinner, and after we put all our stuff in our rooms, we went first time to the meditation hall. And for you to imagine the meditation hall, it is like, I think we were 120 people on this course, and it is separated in male and female side. So it's 60 people on each side. I think it was like 6 times 10, or like maybe probably like 6 times 10 on every side. So it's like those, like you're in this, you sit in between like super many people that also meditate. When you come into this meditation hall, of course you go to this through the side of the male students, and the females go to the side of their through their side of the hall. And in front there are the 2 teachers sitting. They are like a little bit elevated, and yeah, that's how the meditation hall looks like. Also, what I forgot to mention is like male and females are separated for the whole course. So in the beginning, like when we arrived there, it was still like mixed. But as soon as the course started, there is essentially like some doors and gates were closed in the middle. And for the whole course, you had no contact with the other sex. So there, only in the meditation hall, you were even able to see the female participants, and even there, like you're not looking over. Like you go into the meditation hall with like blinders on, like essentially, obviously not real blinders, but like you look on your feet. You go in there, you sit down, you meditate, you go out again, you go for a walk, you go in again, you meditate again. You don't look to the side, but they were there. So on this first day, we come into this meditation hall, and I sit in there and I start to meditate. And there was no explanation at all. So it was like, for the first, I don't know, it was probably like 20 minutes or something. It was just like pure meditation. I was like, well, I'm just going to sit here and just like, not going to do any technique. I'm just going to sit here. Like, if they don't tell me what the technique is, like, I had my eyes closed. I was not like particularly focusing on breathing or anything. I was just like sitting there. And then the chanting started. So there are like some speakers mounted over like everywhere in this hall, and suddenly you hear this old voice, like an old man that is like singing like Bhavatu Salva Mangelam. and like so on. Like everything like 3 times and like super slow, like probably even slower than I just did it. But that's like just like for you to understand like what I was hearing. So if you imagine I'm sitting there inside this meditation hall and I hear this man singing this Bhava to Salva Mangalam and whatever, like super long chanting. Like he's chanting for at least 20 minutes. I was like, what did I get myself into here? Like, am I gonna sit here and there's a guy chanting? Like, this is very cultish. Like, I'm not sure. But at some point it stopped after like 20 minutes. I was like, it was kind of amusing because like, what the fuck? Like, there's a guy chanting, but well, so after a while it stopped and he started to talk. And he started to explain a bit the technique. So it was all over the speakers, like no video, no nothing, just over the speakers. And this old voice started to explain, like very slowly, very slow talking, started to explain that right now it's our task to just focus on the experience of our breath and focus on the experience of our breath in the area, in a triangle between the tip of our nose, not the tip of our nose, but like the where the nose ends between the eyes, and our upper lip. So the triangle that is between our upper lip and the upper part of our nose. And in this area, we're just supposed to watch our breath. So that's all the task. And then I think we meditated for like 20 more minutes. After that, I went for a walk, and then it was time for bed. It was like around 10 o'clock at that point when I went to bed. And then I realized, well, I maybe shouldn't have gone for like a half an hour walk after the meditation ended, because on the next morning, I already knew it's gonna start at 4. Every day from then on, for the next 10 days, in the morning there was a gong at 4, and from then on the first meditation started. So on the next day at 4 o'clock, after a good night's rest, for me at least, I got woken up by the gong and I went over to the meditation hall. In the meditation hall I sat down, and then the first meditation started. So now I'm going to explain a bit what the daily schedule is in one of those Vipassana retreats, because it's the same everywhere where you go in the world, and it's also the same for the whole 10 days. So you wake up at 4. At 4:30 the first meditation starts. The first meditation is for in total 2 hours. So there's a full 2-hour meditation till 6:30. From 6:30 till I think 8. Yeah, maybe till 8 there is the breakfast time. So you have some breakfast. Then you have another hour of meditation. You have 10 minutes of break. Then you have another hour of meditation. Then you have another 10 minutes of break. Then you have another hour of meditation. And then it's time for dinner, lunch. Then you eat lunch, and it's like the food just amazing. Like I was very surprised. But then you have lunch, then you have another hour of meditation, another 10 minutes of break, another hour of meditation, another 10 minutes of break, another hour of meditation, another 10 minutes of break. Then there was a tea break. Then you have another hour of meditation, another break, another hour of meditation. Then there was the discourse. So at that point, you already meditated for like 9 hours or 8 hours, I don't know, but quite a lot. But you have to imagine like my experience in the first day is just like, well, that's a lot of meditation, and especially what he told us to focus just on our breath in this area. I was like, well, that's kind of easy. I can do that. So I tried. And in this morning I sat down and I tried to focus on my breath, and I was super surprised because after only one breath, my attention was already gone. And I thought that I have quite a well-focused mind, or like that I have, at least I thought that I have some power over my mind. Like maybe I didn't think that I'm particularly focused because I'm also like, in my normal life, I'm like running around. I listen to podcasts in like 2.5x, 3x speed. I'm like while I work out and like I do everything at the same time. I like everything is fast in my life, and I never take really time to like just sit down and do something slow. Like I don't know, I like this type of life, but so the Vipassana was for me like very very much the opposite. So like he told us to just focus on our breath, and after one time in out. After that, my attention was gone. Like I was already thinking about something else. And with the time, like over the course of this first day, I was like, damn, that is something I can work on. Like, cool that I'm here. Like, I'm gonna get so good at focusing in those 10 days. So I started to train that, and I started to try to focus. And at the end of the day, I was kind of able to do like few more breath, like I don't know, like probably on average like 5 to 10 or something. So it already got better, my focus. Not like crazy, but I was like, well, that's super good that I'm here, because even if I would do that for the whole 10 days afterwards, I will be so well at focusing. Like when I come home and I'm gonna sit on my computer, I'm gonna work, I'm gonna be so focused, like there's nothing gonna be there, and like nothing can ever distract me again if I do that for 10 days. But also I started to distract myself with other things. Like I was thinking about my posture a lot, especially in the first day, like because I was thinking like, well, how can I sit that it doesn't hurt? I was getting one of those meditation benches. It's like a very low bench that is very tilted, so you can kneel and put it under your ass, so it's like you don't sit on the back of your feet, on your heels, and it's way more comfortable. And because there was no stimuli, I was I was hyper aware of my posture. So whenever I stood up and I was walking, I was thinking like, am I standing up straight? Like, is my posture well? Like, I think I should get back to this, because in the last weeks that I'm working a lot again, like I'm forgetting like how my posture is. And in those days, I think that's like super beneficial that I was so aware. Like I was always very straight, and not like the straight that I'm like overly extended, but because I was so aware of all my body, I could really feel like what is how do I stand that I'm really straight, like so yeah, this was the first day. Like two things, like really much focus on my posture, and the other thing is that I managed to do my 10 breaths in a row. And in the evening, when the day was nearly over, the discourse started, and I didn't know about that, but suddenly they like build up, like there's like a how is this thing called, like a beamer, like beamers, I don't know if this is the German word, like the thing that is like on the ceiling, that projector, like there's they set up a projector, or it was always there in the hall, and they had a video playing, and before the video started it said 1991. So all the videos we were watching were from 1991. That was the time when they were recorded. So the video starts, and you can see this Indian guy that is sitting like in I don't know if it's lotus position, but like somewhat like in a similar position, and he's like in like some traditional Indian dress, and like he's quite old, and he's sitting there, and he starts to do the chanting that actually like nearly like at least three, maybe probably there's like 6 times already on the day that the meditation started or ended with chanting. So I was like slowly getting used to the chanting. I was slowly knowing some of the lines, like this Bhavatu Salva Mangalam is something I still remember, like because he always ended it. Like this was when this line came, you know, like it's finally over. So it's like, oh, finally. So that's why I remember it so well. But yeah, then this man started talking, and he talked very slow, especially for me as a guy. Like I'm listening to my podcast in 2.5 or 3 times speed only, or also audiobooks. Um, and he's talking so slow. Like he's talking zero or like zero point 0.5 speed. Like he's yeah he's talking super slow, and he's also repeating himself all the time. So he's saying one sentence, and then he's saying the same sentence again, and then he's saying the same sentence again, then he's saying the next sentence, and then he's saying this sentence again, like all this. And usually, like, I couldn't concentrate a bit on somebody that's talking like this. Like my thoughts would be gone before I even finished his first sentence. But I don't know why. In this case, actually, I know why. Like because I already meditated for 10 days on 10 hours on that day, and like I was so there was so little stimulation in my head, like that I I just I could listen to him so well, and it was such a relief. Like 10 hours nobody talked to me, and suddenly there's this guy that is making jokes, that is talking, that is explaining the technique, and he's funny. And yeah, I don't know. I really deeply enjoyed those discourses because, like, this Cuenca guy, this teacher with his recordings from 1991, those are good recordings. Like, I was surprised, like, he can talk. Maybe it was also that I definitely overhype it because at the time I was so deprived of any sensory input that, of course, I think, like, that's amazing. But yeah, for me, it was just like every discourse every day was just a pleasure. Like I was always looking forward to it. So on this first day, like in the discourse, I don't know, like he was explaining something about the technique, and yeah, it was interesting. Yeah, I think he was just explaining what exactly to do and why to do it, and yeah, so it went on. So for the next days, as I already explained, like every day there was those hours and hours of meditation. Actually, after this course, there's also another half an hour of meditation, and then there's an opportunity to ask questions to the teachers. There's also another opportunity to ask questions to the teachers, which is during lunch. And there's no dinner. I didn't mention that. So there's no dinner, there's just this tea break, and in the tea break, new students are allowed to eat some fruits. Old students are not allowed to eat, so they essentially do intermittent fasting. For me, this was super easy because like I normally, like before that I did 1 meal a day. So when I arrived there, I ramped up to 2 meals a day. So for me it was like an increase in how much I eat, how often I eat. So it was no problem. And I did like the old student regiment. I didn't eat fruits in the breaks. So that was really like no problem. Yeah. And in the next 3 days, the technique didn't change. So for the next 3 days, the only thing we were doing for all this time was to focus on the breath in the triangle between the top of the nose and the line that is the upper lip. And on day 3, there we're sitting and meditating all together in one of the group meditation settings, because like 3 times a day there's like you have to meditate in the hall. In the other meditation settings you're also allowed to go into your room. I did that, I think, on the first day or something, but I realized that on a chair I'm like way less comfortable than on the meditation bench, so I always went into the hall from then on. And in one of those group settings, he finally like started talking, and he was like, "Well, now the technique is gonna change." And I was like, "Yeah, finally, I'm ready." Like I already got super bored from the old technique, and I was like, "Nice, new technique." And then he explained, "Okay, now we're not gonna focus on the triangle between the top of the nose and the upper lip. Now we're only gonna focus on the area above the upper lip, so not the nose." So that's it. So this whole technique, there was like you focus on this small area. I got like, okay, now you focus on an even smaller area, like just the area where you would have a mustache. And yeah, so for the next day I did nothing but that. And at some point I got really sensitive. So if you try now, then you just hold and try to feel your breath on your upper lip. You can maybe try. I can try it also now. Actually, I can feel it. Oh, I'm surprised. I didn't think that I was able to. Like, it's very, very small, the feeling, but I can feel that right now I was breathing through my right nostril. And during the day 3, I got super sensitive. So I get super quick at feeling exactly where my breath was coming from. And like, I felt it a lot. It's not like I kind of can guess where the breath is. No, I could really exactly feel like, okay, the breath is coming through this nostril, like with this velocity, I don't know. And like, I could feel it very, very well. And something interesting I realized that I didn't realize before is that you always, when you don't breathe hard, you always only breathe through one nostril. And so I was sitting there for 1 hour and I was feeling like, today I'm breathing through the right nostril. And I'm going for a walk in a break. I sit down again and I try to feel it again. And I'm like, where's my breath? And then I realize, oh, it changed. Now I breathe through the left nostril. And then I find it again. And then I feel my breath through the left nostril for 1 hour. Yeah. So I think that was day 3, that I was just like focusing on my breath. It was going quite well. I could focus for like maybe 20 breaths. Sometimes better, sometimes worse. Like, it really helped when he changed up the technique, because that let me focus again. But yeah, essentially nothing much changed. Like, just focus in the area of the upper lip and feel how your breath feels. And on the next day, day 5, there was the biggest change. So in day 5, Cuenca, the teacher, told us that now we're gonna learn the actual technique. So the first 3 days, did I say 5? I think I said 4, hopefully. But like on day 4, this change was. So for the first 3.5 days, all we did was just warming up for the main technique. So then he explained, okay, what is the main technique? And the main technique is a kind of body scan. So you not only focus on this area, like on the area over the upper lip, the area over the upper lip, you just focused on that to sharpen your mind, to learn to focus your mind on a very tiny spot and actually feel the sensations on that spot. So now the rule was that you go through your body. So you start on the top of your head and you just watch the top of your head until you feel that there, if you have a sensation there. And if you have a sensation there, you move on. And then you maybe go to your forehead and then you watch your forehead until you feel that there's a sensation there. And then you move on, maybe to your right ear. And then you watch your right ear until you feel a sensation there. And let's say maybe on your right ear you don't feel anything. So you wait. And after 1 minute, if you don't feel anything still, you just move on, maybe to the back of your head and so on. And you do that, like slowly going to all the parts of your body. Like, that's very important. Like, don't miss out any part until you're on the tip of your toes. And when you're done with the tip of your toes, you go back to the top of your head. And from the top of your head to the tips of your toes, from the top of your head to the tips of your toes. It's something he said very often. So it was interesting. I was like, nice, new technique, let's go. And whenever there was a new technique, I don't know, like, it was, for me, it was way easier to keep my focus. So I was focusing again. I was, well, I was also focusing before, but like, I could focus better. And I was like really trying, and I was really like, I have to feel something on the top of my head. And especially in the beginning, I went with like super small parts. So like I divided the top of my head in like 20 different tiny pieces, and in each of them I wanted to feel something. So I was so slow that within 1 hour of meditation I didn't even manage to get like below my chest. And I was like, well, that's wrong, because he said like it should probably like take around 10 minutes to go from the top of your head to the tips of your toes. Obviously it was like, no, it's no problem if it takes longer, like half an hour. But like, if after 1 hour you're still at on your chest, like I was probably too slow. But yeah, I was intense focus. So for the next days I was doing that again, and I didn't really get so much better in the next days. It was just like, yeah, just like persisting. I made the areas a bit bigger, so I got a bit faster. And on day 6, he introduced something new, or maybe it was even day 5. On day 5, he introduced the sittings of strong determination. So in sittings of strong determination, it's the 3 times that you have to be in the hall every day. You're not allowed to move. And he explained that like the pain, you should just experience the pain. Don't judge the pain. Just experience the pain and don't move. And when I heard this, I was like, well, that's so cool. Like that's like in the first day where I was like, well, it's so cool that I can focus on like one thing. Now it's like, well, that's very cool. I'm gonna learn how to really feel the pain and not judge it. Like just feel the pain, no moving. And I did that. So I sat down. I felt the pain, like my knee, like especially my right knee. I had a surgery on my right knee when I was like 17. I ripped a tendon there, and like nothing bad. Like, it was quite bad at that time, but like I can run again. I can do everything again. So, but during the meditation, for some reason, it started to hurt a lot, like very fast. Like my right knee always started to hurt. And it started to hurt. I was like, no, I'm not gonna move. I'm just gonna experience the pain. Don't judge the pain. And yeah, I was keeping sitting, and so I did like this 1 hour sitting, and I was like, well, that was good. I have to do it more. I have to go harder. So in the next morning, after standing up at 4 o'clock, I sat down there, and I was like, well, now I have to go. I have to go really hard, and I was pushing myself. I don't know, like I did like I think 1.5 hours, which is not crazy. It was not even an hour of strong determination. Like it was just like the morning meditation where we were allowed to move, but I was pushing it, and I had so much pain. And at some point, I was like, well, it's fine, I can move. So I moved, and I don't know. I think I overdid it at that point because I pushed myself so hard that the next time I sat down, it was like I had a blockade in my head. Like it was like before I could push myself, but I don't know, like I pushed myself so hard that it was like a little trauma build up in my head, and my body was like, as soon as it started hurting, I was like, no, don't do that again. Like it hurts, like it hurts so much. And so for some reason, like I don't know if that was day 7 or something, but suddenly it got super hard to do those hours of strong determination. Like before that, I was literally sitting in positions, like on purpose, I was sitting in positions that hurt more. I was taking away the meditation bench and just sitting on my bare like heels because I know it hurts more. And I was setting timers and was like, well, I'm gonna do that now for 25 minutes, even if it's not our strong determination, but like that's the way how I can feel like super much pain. Like my legs fell asleep, and like I couldn't really stand up afterwards, but I was pushing myself so hard. But after this one time in the morning where I went so over it, I don't know, it was like just a blockade, and it was super hard for me. Like I thought I could build my willpower in that time, but actually through that, for somehow like in this thing, it decreased. Like I don't know, I somehow overdid it in a way that afterwards it was so hard for me to push myself to just experience the pain. So the next days I had hard times doing those long sittings, but actually I have a little trophy that I took from this Vipassana retreat. So on the left cheek of my butt, there is a part that is still a bit numb. So from the sitting, I was enduring so much pain that a piece of, like, I don't know, a nerve somehow like started to be numb. Like it slowly is getting better. Like now it's 1 month after, and slowly it starts to feel better, but I'm very surprised like how long this stayed. And like it's not bad, like I don't mind, but yeah, I really went hard on this, and yeah, maybe even a bit too hard, so that it got very difficult for me to push myself. And then on day 8, I remember that it was like, something happened on day 7. I forgot about that. Like on day 7, at some point I was sitting there and he was explaining a new technique, or not a new technique, but like he said, if we don't have trouble to going through our body, we're allowed to not go bit by bit, not top of the head, forehead, back of the head, side of the head, whatever, but like go like in a sweeping motion through the body, like somebody's pouring a bucket of water over you, and you just like sweep through the whole body. And I was trying that, and it kind of worked. I think I already tried this on day, I don't know, in the beginning of day 7, and in one session, day 7, I was able to really like I was able to make my body tingle. Like wherever I focused, it tingled. So essentially, I started on the top of my head, and the top of my head started tingling, and then I created this ring that was going through my body. And you have to think, like, at that point, I'm already meditating for 70 hours in the last 7 days. So, like, I don't know, it's, I don't know how extraordinary this is, but like, I could create this ring of tingling and let it flow through my body. So it started at the top of my head, and I steered this ring of tingling to go down through my body, over my shoulders, through my arms, back up my arms again, through my upper body, torso, legs, feet, and back up and down and up. And I could really like, I could steer it completely. Like I could go like super fast down, up, and like wherever I focused on, I could make it tingle. I could let it go to my right hand and let my right hand tingle. I could let it go to my left hand, let my left hand tingle. And whenever I came back up, for some reason, the ring, it focused like in between, a bit above my eyes, like where somebody would imagine like their third eye is. Like I don't know, like why. I don't believe in like mystic stuff, but it was interesting that it focused there. Like just the uh, curious thing that happened. So I had this ball of tingling in the position where my third eye should be, and I could make it into a ring, and I could make different parts of my body tingle, and I started playing with it, and it was so strong. Like I could really I could just decide which part of my body starts tingling, and like at some point I was like, what can I do? So for example, I was letting my right index finger, like the tip of my right index finger, I made it tingle, and then at the same time I made the tip of my left index finger tingle. And at the same time, I made my forehead, like this position of my third eye, tingle. And then I created a triangle of tingling between those three things. And now you ask, like, hey, what triangle of tingling? It's not, like, that's not in your body. Like, you can't make a tingle where there's no body. And I was like, well, I don't know, but somehow I could. And it was also, like, it was somehow like energy that I could make there. Like, obviously, I think this was just hallucination. But still was interesting that I was able to do that. And yeah, I could create this triangle of tingling. Then I could, what else did I do? I let all this tingling like build up in my forehead, and I let it explode. I let it like explode in a disc, like in those movies where there's somebody meditating, or in this meme, I don't know, where there's like this disc shooting out of the forehead that is like going like the universe is coming out of my forehead. I don't know. Like I was just hallucinating and having fun that I could steer my hallucinations at that point, because like I was so deprived. Like you have to imagine, like 7 days, really good food, by the way. I hope I didn't underemphasize this. But like 7 days, like no human contact, no phone, no contact to the outside world, just meditating every day, 70 hours of meditation. I was able to hallucinate tingling, and I was just like playing around with it. I was having fun. Like I was not following the instructions on that in this hour. I was just like playing around with the tingling, without following without following the strict rules. It was just like, well, playing with this newfound ability. And after that, nothing worked anymore. Like after this session, I couldn't focus anymore. Like I don't know what happened, but for some reason after that, like I wasn't able to focus for the best of my abilities. Like I was trying, and day 8, nothing worked. Like it was so hard to sit there 10 hours meditating, and like I was not even able to go once from the top of my head to the tips of my toes. Like I was always getting distracted. Like, and I also didn't want to. Like it felt, I don't know, there was like some resistance that built up, and like this Cuenca, he was always holding his lectures like every evening, as I explained, and if I would have asked him, he probably would have said, yes, that's just my old Sankara, so it's like some old bad memories, and like essentially when you build resistance to feeling, that's the sankhara, and that they were coming up at this moment. But I don't know, for me it was just like it was not working anymore. Like it was so hard, and at parts I was like really like I was distracting myself for like whole hours. I was watching back all the movies I ever watched. I was thinking about everything but meditation. I don't know if I was consciously trying to distract myself, but like I was distracting myself left and right. Like of course not looking anywhere, but like just in my head, sitting there. I was thinking of everything but the meditation. And whenever I tried the meditation technique, like it didn't really work. Like I didn't manage to go all the way to my feet. Like I always like distracted. Like I don't know. Like the days before it was working quite good, but day 8 it was so hard, and it was like I don't know. I was very depressed. Like it's not working anymore. It's not working anymore. But I tried, and it was just very hard. Day 9, still no change. Whole day 9, like nothing worked, and I was super like I was getting like depressed. Like what the fuck am I? Not what am I doing there? I was always glad that I was there, because like this experience is so different from anything that you will ever experience in your life. Like whenever will you have the chance to not talk to anyone for 10 days? Whenever will you have the chance to have no technology for 10 days? But still, I was like, it was so depressing that nothing was working anymore. But actually that also was the reason of my biggest learning. So on day 9, I had my biggest learning. So that was between 2 meditation sessions when I went for a walk. They have a very nice area there, like where you can walk. It's not big. Like one time walking around the whole area is like I think 500 steps. I counted, and so it's very not big. But like I was always walking in the same circle, and at some point I realized like, hey, I know why I'm so depressed. Like it is, like I'm always talking with my friends about like what are our demons? Like what are the things that drive us? Like demons that stand behind us that make us work so hard. Because like I'm in my usual life I'm working like 10 hours a day at least. Like I'm not okay. Focused work is hard to get to 10 hours. I know, but I'm at least trying to work as much as I can. And we're always talking about what is driving us. And my friends, they're like, well, I don't know, like we're always talking about our demons, and they're like, yeah, I have this demon, this demon. And I was like, well, and I don't think I have demons. Like I feel like I'm so balanced in whatever. But on that day, I realized like, yes, I have a demon, and I call this demon my progress demon. So it's like I feel like I get super uncomfortable whenever I don't progress, whenever I don't grow, whenever I don't get better in any kind of metric that is important to me. And on day 8 and day 9, I didn't get better at any metric. I was just sitting there, and I felt like my meditation was getting worse. So that was by far the biggest learning from this, like the biggest conscious learning, definitely, from this Vipassana retreat. And so, in a sense, day 8 and 9 were the most valuable days, even if I didn't make any progress on those days. Yeah, on day 10, we were finally allowed to talk to people again, and I made a new friend. It was super cool. Like, in the beginning, it was very weird. Like, you were allowed to talk to people, and I was like, no way in hell that I'm gonna talk to someone. Like, I don't want to talk to anyone. Like, I don't feel like it. Like, 10 days no talking. Like, I can't start talking to somebody now. But then I did, and after like half an hour I was like back to normal, and it was so good. I talked to a guy, and like we actually got very close in this I don't know, like 5 hours that we were allowed to talk. And yeah, it was very nice to like reflect on the experience together. Yeah, now looking back, I think apart from the obvious value that going to a Vipassana retreat like this is something that is so different from everything that you will ever experience in life. Like, so little input that, like, just for this reason alone, I would anybody recommend to do this. Like, just experience what happens with you if there's no input for 10 days. Like, can you hold this? Can you do this? Like 10 hours, 10 days, no input. Or do you break? Can you, yeah, because there were people that were quitting. Like, so, and just for this experience, I would recommend to everybody to join. For me personally, like, I think this focusing, it was very nice. That I learned to focus better, but it was not life changing. Definitely not. Like, I feel like after when I was coming back, I could say I'm disappointed that I'm not like a crazy monk that is just like focused on his work now and never gets distracted. No, I still get distracted sometimes. I try my best not to, but I do. And also, yeah, the other two things, like the tingling that I could do, like, I think that's like it sounds super cool. Like, and everybody, like, maybe you listen to this and you're like, wow, that's so cool. I want to also experience this. Like, I want to also make my forehead tingle. But like, well, you can just get a feather and tingle yourself. Like, if you're really into that, like, there's no, like, it was just a little hallucination. It was not crazy. And yeah, the learning on day 9, I think that was a big thing for me. Like, just, it's nothing that I never really knew, but like, I don't know, like, for some reason it got like really present on that moment. So overall, I would say it was valuable, and I would really recommend it. Like, the most I would recommend it to people that think, like, that feel like their life is suffering, because you learn a lot of the Buddhist philosophy, not in the way that they try to push you to any religion, but it is very, like, it has very, very strong Buddhist touch. And the way they talk about just experiencing without judging is a very, I think, very, very useful framework if you feel like your life is somehow suffering. But the thing is that I don't feel like my life is suffering. Like, I really like my life, and in a sense, because of that, it was a bit less useful for me, maybe, because I really don't suffer in my everyday life. Yeah, but still, like, it was super interesting, and I'm very glad that I did it, and I will probably do it again. I'll not do it again now. I will probably not do it again in the next year, maybe not 2 years, whatever. But at some point, I'm very likely gonna do it again. Like, at least at the point when we solved aging, and we have a lot of time, I will do that for, like, I don't know, maybe a couple of 100 years, just sitting and meditating and doing the technique and seeing if I get enlightened, because I think that's super interesting. Like, why not? Like, there's so many things I want to do when we've solved aging, and this is one of the things. Yeah, and yeah, as I said, I think it's very worth it for everybody to try, especially for people that feel like their life is suffering, or that feel like they have a hard time controlling their emotions, or like being able to just accept bad things. Those are all things I was thinking a lot about already, like, in my days when I did a lot of philosophy. Like, this was like one of my main topics that I, like, in Stoicism, whatever, like, to learn to not let myself get carried away by the circumstances, but have the power to decide how I react. So it was not so new to me, but still it is new, because, like, it's way more experience if you try to do something like that. And yeah, I really experienced it those 10 days. Yeah, those were my 10 days Vipassana meditation. Eventually I got picked up and I drove straight to Denmark to ARDD, Aging Research and Drug Discovery meeting, talking to Ober de Grey and Alex Savaronkov and a lot of other cool people. Ober de Grey and Alex Savaronkov, it was not super long talks, like the longer talks I had with people that are, well, way less known, but yeah, it was super cool. Also ARDD. I don't know why I'm telling this. I'm just like in talking mood right now. Yeah. if you listen till now, thank you a lot for listening. I really appreciate you. Try Vipassana. I think it's worth it. If you can spare 10 days, it's a super interesting experience. I recommend it to everyone. If you think your life is suffering, I recommend it to you 10 times more even. Yeah. If you want to listen to interviews of me with some podcast founders, they're everywhere on my podcast. And Bhavatu Salvamangalam, as Gwenka always said, may all beings be happy. That was the way he ended all his meditations. May all beings be happy. May all beings experience infinite love. I resubscribe to that. Like, I really love this kind of philosophy. I wish the best to you, and bye bye.